Hello, this video will show how to update the firmware on your Sniffer 2. So on the workbench, we have a Sniffer 2 that's running an old version of firmware, and we want to update that to the latest. So the first thing we need to do is actually obtain the firmware. It's available for free on wolftronics.com. Then click on Electric Vehicles, Sniffer 2 page, and then if we scroll down, we will find all of the firmware that's available. So we've got the latest version as of the recording of this video is version 1.0, and we've got all the old ones here just in case you wanted to roll back. Also need these config files. This is what sets up the Sniffer 2 to tell it how to display information, what type of battery you've got connected, what your voltage current limits, temperature limits, everything. And then what it should do based on those. Conveniently, everything is already included in this zip file. So all you gotta do is click on that. That'll open up your downloads. We'll go ahead and save it and open that up. And conveniently, I already have my micro SD card plugged into the laptop, and we'll just copy this over. Now what we got with that, it should be everything. If we open this up here, we've got our config files that we needed. If we look at we got documentation, which is just the, it's these two PDF files here. And most importantly, we've got our firmware files. So the bootloader will load whatever the latest version is, and the latest version is 1.0. So it'll automatically load that in, even though all these other guys are in the same directory. If you wanted to go back to 0.8, just delete or rename version 1.0 to something else, and it will load 0.8. So the only thing that we want to make sure is always want to right-click on this and eject the SD card, just in case we weren't quite done writing to it. And there we go. So I'll go ahead and grab that off the laptop. Now my laptop doesn't have a micro SD card slot, so I use a SD card adapter, and we've got the micro SD card. So the next thing to do is to insert that into the Sniffer 2. So I'm going to go ahead and power it down. And then go ahead, you want the fingers pointing up. Go ahead and put that in. And then power it up. Bootloader runs, it will find our SD card. I'm going to save our config changes for the bootloader and get our new firmware. And we're going to calculate our checksums. And then we're going to write that to our program flash in the micro. And we're going to verify it, make sure that our checksums match, which they do, and then we're going to start the program. Now we're going to read in our config files, and we're going to save that to application flash, and now we're ready to go. So we've got it turned on, so it's going to read that and then turn on the contactors there. Recharge and run, and then it's going to just scroll through the programmed the displays that have been set up in the display config file, which apparently I've got voltage, current, temperatures, state of health, or state of charge and health, and then the high and low cells, and then we repeat. And this is live. Like if I move the pie here, you can see the voltages will change. Oh, I'm gonna wait for the screen to come back around. But yeah, that's it. Now we only need the micro SD card in there for making config changes and or updating the firmware. So if I kill power, we can go ahead and take that out and then reboot it, and it will come up with it'll start the new application. Well, doesn't have to go through the bootloader now. There you go. And if you don't want all the messages, if you just want it to just instantaneously boot up, you can go change that in the config file as well. You set the delay value to 0 and it'll bypass all the messages and just start running. So anyways, that's how you update the firmware on the PAX Sniffer 2. Thanks for watching. Bye.